Hi there, welcome to this live stream with me, Manil, here on YouTube on Unacademy's IELTS channel. I hope you're all doing very well. And sorry, just let me bring up my video so that I can keep an eye on what's going on. All right, so I have the video here in front of me, so I'll be able to see all your comments as and when they show up. I'll be able to respond to those. All right, so guys, very quickly, let me first introduce myself. My name is Manil Agarwal. I am an IELTS trainer and I have been doing this for a while, right? I've been training full time for the past 2 years, right? And otherwise, I've been associated with the test for a little longer. And I have appeared for both the academic and the general training tests, and I have scored band 8.5 on both academic as well as general training. I have scored band for my academic test. My breakup was band 9 on both listening and reading, band 8 on speaking, and band 7.5 on writing. Uh, as for general training, it was once again identical. It was 9 each on listening and reading, and band 8 on speaking, band 7.5 on writing. So when I come in as a trainer, I do come in with a lot of experience, and I also come in with clear first-hand knowledge of exactly what goes on in the test. Now, the idea of doing this class for you here is there are two primary motives. One, to give you an introduction of the IELTS test, so sort of put it down for you what exactly is the IELTS test all about. And then the second is to give you an idea as to how you can prepare for the test with me, right? So because if you're watching this here, you probably already know that Unacademy is an app, right, where you can prepare for your tests, IELTS being one of those. And I am one of the trainers who teaches on the app. Uh, there are two types of programs available on the app. One is the free program, wherein you get some amount of information or that could help prove handy for you, that could prove handy for your test. But then there is the Unacademy Plus platform, which is a subscription based platform where you actually get to learn the ins and outs of the test, and you get to prepare thoroughly for the test, right? So that is a subscription based program where you have to pay a fees to attend the classes, just like any other academy that you would attend to take classes. All right. Hi Tanu, welcome to the class. How are you? Good to see you join. Okay, so Tanu, I'm just getting started, right? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to understand what is IELTS, right? I'm good, I'm very well, thank you so much. So Tanu, have you appeared for the test? Have you appeared for the test yet? Oh, excellent. All right. So you probably already know what were your band scores on the test? If you could give me an idea, please. Okay. Tanu, you have been attending classes with me on the app, haven't you? Did you attend any lessons with me on the app itself, as in on the Unacademy app? Or have you attended one of my previous YouTube lessons? Have you done one of the two things? Right, fair enough. So, okay. So, Tanu, today's class, let me be very honest with you. All right, today's class will not be useful for you because I am mostly just doing an overview of what the IELTS test is all about. Okay, so introduction and sectional overviews, and that's it. Right. Oh, okay, fair enough. All right. Hey, Tamanna. Hey, Tamanna. Fair enough. Fair enough. Hey, but you know what? I think it would be better if you join. So tomorrow on the app itself, I have a class scheduled at 5:45. Right? You remember those vocabulary practice lessons that we do? Right? So join me for that lesson. That would be more useful. I mean, of course, you're more than welcome to stay back for this one as well. But probably you would already know everything that I'm about to share. Okay. So, but tomorrow, don't forget 5:45 on the app. Right? Is the vocabulary practice class. All right. So let's talk about IELTS. So what is IELTS? Right. So first, let's begin with the name. So IELTS stands for International English Language Testing System. Now, Tamanna, if you're still here, right, do pay attention to this. This part I think is interesting. In fact, I think it will be very useful for you because I've seen most of the people don't really understand what is the IELTS test. Are you still there? Just give me a yes or a no if you, I mean, sorry, you can't give me no. Give me a yes if you're still there. Excellent. All right. So this test has been created for people who do not speak English as the first language. Okay. Now, what do I mean? Do not speak English as their first language. So these are people whose mother tongue is something other than English. For example, Hindi, Punjabi, Gujarati, Malayali, Urdu, Arabic, Persian, whatever, right? Whatever language they speak. Uh, it is for those people. So why did they create this test? To check if they can communicate in English. Okay, they check if the test taker can communicate in English or not. Okay, so your mother tongue is Punjabi. Excellent, fair enough. So now, what do I mean by the word communicate? Okay, now this is the most important part of the IELTS test. This is the bit that people need to understand that mostly nobody seems to know about. Okay, communication or to communicate means that when I say something, you are able to understand what I said, and when you say something, I am able to understand what you said. That is communication. I saying something which you can't understand or you saying something which I can't understand is not communication. Okay, communication means that we can both understand each other, and IELTS tests this ability of yours, that when you speak, will you be able to make the other person understand what you're trying to say. Okay, that is what the IELTS test does. So next, so sorry, okay, not next. Now that we know these two things, okay, so there are 2 points that I want to raise first. Very first, if this test is made for people whose mother tongue is not English, and this is my question to you, I am now asking you a question. Do you need to speak like a native English speaker? That's my question to you. Do you need to speak like a native English speaker? Perfect. No, you don't. Because if you're not a native English speaker, how can you speak like a native English speaker? My next question to you is, what is or who is a native English speaker? Any idea? Fair enough. Okay, so yes, citizens, nahi, 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 that's not correct. Okay, say tomorrow you migrate to Canada or England, okay, and you become a citizen, right? That doesn't mean that you are a native English speaker. You're still a native Punjabi speaker, right? A native English speaker is somebody whose mother tongue is English, okay? But now, see, why I'm picking up this topic is because a lot of people think that for the IELTS test, it is important to speak like the native English speaker. Now, so the next point is, if we don't need, sorry, okay. Now, my next point is, can we define a native English speaker? I'll give you the answer. No, we can't. Okay, why? See, native English speaker could be from England, could be from US, could be from Canada, could be from Ireland, could be from Scotland, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, all of these countries, right? There are a lot of people out there who could be native English speakers whose mother tongue is English. For example, there is a small group of people in India who we define as the Anglo-Indians. For them as well, the mother tongue is English. Okay, the Anglo-Indians. I don't know if you know of him. There is this cricketer called Roger Binney, right? His mother tongue is English, right? Derek O'Brien, right? Derek O'Brien, the very famous Bonvita quiz contest host. His mother tongue is English, right? So all of these people, I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but this is what I've read. Okay, this is what I've read, that their mother tongues are English. Their first language is English. Okay, so can we define a native English speaker? No, we can't, because that native English speaker could come from anywhere in the world. Right? Now, the third thing, and this is very important. Most people think that native English speakers have excellent vocabulary. Okay, do you think this is true? That all native English speakers have excellent vocabulary? Perfect. It's not true. Okay. In fact, a lot of native English speakers have pathetic vocabulary. I've lived in England. I've known a lot of Britishers. Oh God, their vocabulary is ridiculous, right? And it is not. And yes, of course, there are a lot of them who have excellent vocabulary as well. But it is not their vocabulary. It is not their vocabulary that makes their English good or great. It is their ability to communicate. Okay, it is their ability to communicate that is what makes them better than people who are not native English speakers. So once again, what does that bring us to? It means that a native English speaker actually makes sense every time they speak. Okay, they make sense to whoever they are speaking with, right? Or I mean, of course, the other person knows English. If they don't know English, that's a different thing, right? This person makes sense every time they speak. So yes, so why do they speak easily? Why is it that they're able to make sense? The reason for that is that they know how to form a sentence. They know how to form a sentence. That is the most important thing that they know. Okay, which is why their English is good. See, it is like this. Now, you as a Punjabi speaker or I as a Hindi speaker, if we were to speak in Hindi, forget the vocabulary. What is most important is we have the words, but what is more important is that we know when to use which word at which point in the sentence and in which way. Right? It is that helps us be very fluent, right? Very comfortable while speaking in our mother tongue. Okay, and it is this ability of yours, right? Ability to use to not use to make sentences that make sense, that make complete sense and that make complete sense and help communicate an idea. It is this ability, the ability to make sentences that make complete sense and help communicate an idea. It is this ability that is tested in the IELTS test. Okay, this is what the IELTS test checks for. Okay, I hope you've understood this. I hope I hope you now know what is it that they're testing for. Okay, if you have, please give me a yes, or if you've not, please give me a no. I'll explain it again. Right, so now what happens is, while testing you, so now to after they so when they've taken your test, now they tell you exactly what is the level of your ability, which is where they give you your band score. So what this band score tells you is how capable are you of communicating in English, right? How comfortably can you make sentences, bring them together to form an answer, write an essay, okay, answer a question. This is what that band score tells, shares, that how comfortable are you, how good are you while doing this. So this band score is all the way from 0, right, up to band 9. Okay, 0, so 0 to 4 is basically someone who knows no or little English. Okay, so Tamanna, I hope you've understood. Okay, okay, yeah, perfect. Okay. I just got your message. I just read it. Great. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So now, sorry. So this is somebody all the way up to band 4 is somebody who does not know English beyond, let's say, introduction, the ability to introduce oneself, to ask for directions, ask for water, right? Somebody at band 4. Now this is someone who will be able to just survive, okay? Get caught in some sort of a bad situation. So you'll be, or at least if you're in a new country where everyone speaks English, you'll just be able to get by. Okay, then, but we need to understand these band scores 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. What is a band 5? Band 5 is somebody who speaks broken English in one's area of operation. Okay, so let's say you're a student. Okay, and if I were to ask you questions around your education, okay, you'll be able to give me answers in English. Why? Because you're familiar with that situation. You know what kind of answers are to be given. Okay, that is what a band 5, band 5.5 will mean. A band 6 is who speaks well in area of operation, but broken English elsewhere. All right. So which means if we were to speak, so for a band 5, band 5.5, chances are beyond your area of operation, you will not. So let's say if you're a student and if suddenly I were to start speaking to you about work, even though you know what happens at work, but in English, when it comes to speaking in English, you will not be able to say anything. Okay, band 6, when it comes to your education, let's say your schooling, right, you'll be able to give all the answers well, right? But if we were to speak beyond that, now you'll be able to answer, but your answers will be in very broken English. But one more very important point, this person can't put forward a well developed point, right? For example, if I were to say, oh, hi Ben, welcome to the class. I'm good. How are you? Welcome to the class. So Ben, today we are just discussing what is the IELTS test. Okay, we are just trying to decode the enigma called the IELTS test, because everyone has a lot of misconceptions and myths in their head about what is the IELTS test. So I'm just trying to explain all of that in this test today, so that if once you know this, then you can prepare better. You know actually what you need to prepare to do well on the IELTS test. Okay, so band 6, this person can't put forward a well developed point. For example, if you were to ask this person, okay, so what school do you study at and why, so the person will be able to give you the answer. Okay, I study at so and so school. Why? Because I like that school, right? So okay, this person will be able to give something but not be able to elaborate on that point very well, right? And there will be a lot of mistakes, no doubt. There will be a lot of mistakes on the answer. Band 7 is somebody who now speaks well in all scenarios. Okay, makes mistakes. There will be makes regular mistakes. So you will see grammar mistakes, you will see some incorrect vocabulary usage, all right, but presents a developed point. So this person will be able to elaborate. Okay, so for example, why do you like why do you study, what school do you study at and why? So I study at XYZ school, and that is because it is close to my home, and also at the same time it is very famous for its education and has produced some of the and because it is famous for its education. Okay, so now the point will be a lot better developed, but the person may not be able to bring the answer to a conclusion, right? The person will not necessarily be able to put forth an argument and then conclude it without any, like, wherein the other person will not be able to raise any questions. So for example, this person will stop at something like, I study at so and so school because I like it, it is near my home, and at the same time it is very good education system. Actually, I think I'm using a bad example here. That's a very simple question. Anybody will be able to bring this to a conclusion. Let's say something like, how do you think family sizes will increase in the future? So this person will go like, in my personal opinion, the family size in the future will become smaller because space will be less and resources will be limited. So yes, a well-developed point. The point has been developed. The answer has been given, but further, to bring it to a conclusion, something like, so a conclusion would be something like, so considering all of this, I don't think people would prefer to have larger families as time moves on, and which is why family sizes will become smaller, right? But a band 8 is somebody who speaks well in all scenarios, makes few mistakes, right? And finally presents a well developed point which brings it to conclusion. All right, that is what a band 8 is. Now band 9 is all of this but makes rare to no errors. Okay, and each point is well presented with accurate logic and logic and conclusions. Okay, so that is what each of these band scores mean. This is not ki, oh, if this person is band 7 means the vocabulary must be awesome, band 8 vocabulary must be awesome, band 9 vocabulary must be even more awesome. The problem is everyone is so stuck with the idea that अरे मैं अपनी vocabulary अच्छी कर लेता हूँ, मैं अपनी vocabulary अच्छी कर लेती हूँ, एक बार vocabulary हो गई, IELTS test पे band 9 आ जाएंगे. कभी नहीं आएंगे. वोकैबुलरी से IELTS पे अगर बैंड स्कोर ठीक है बढ़ता है, थोड़ा सा बढ़ता है, ऐसी बात नहीं है, बट सिर्फ वोकैबुलरी से अगर IELTS टेस्ट के ऊपर नंबर बनने लग गया तो हो गया, राइट? फिर तो देयर इज नो डिफरेंस बिटवीन योर IELTS टेस्ट एंड सम टेस्ट दैट हैव बीन रिटन फॉर दोस एंट्रेंस एग्जाम्स इन इंडिया. Okay, we all know that the entrance exams in India, the English test is absolutely ridiculous. It makes no sense and it serves no purpose whatsoever, right? So वहां पे आपको वो जबरदस्ती का एक वर्ड ले आते हैं और फिर बोलते बताओ व्हाट डज दिस वर्ड मीन, क्या करोगे उसका, है ना? सो ये IELTS टेस्ट वो नहीं है. राइट। यहाँ आपको एक बकायदा एक बात पूछी जाएगी और आपको उसके ऊपर अपना यू हैव टू पुट फोर्थ योर ओन थॉट्स, योर ओन आइडियाज एंड प्रेजेंट देम वेल। Okay, so what do you need to do so? Well, you need to learn the language. Okay, you need to learn the language. So what does it mean when I say learn the language? Now everyone again, once I say this, everyone says, "हाँ, learn the language तो ठीक है ना, vocabulary. Once we learn the vocabulary, we know the language, right?" So most people say vocabulary. Okay, chalo fine. Given you need to know vocabulary, but what vocabulary? For your IELTS test, because you're not a native English speaker. You're not a native English speaker. So simple and relevant vocabulary. Okay, relevant मतलब कि आपको जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल टॉपिक है, इफ योर टॉपिक इज let's say global warming, so relevant vocabulary which is relevant to this. Okay, आप जबरदस्ती just because some video on YouTube said you know what, memorize these 5 words, memorize these 10 words, memorize these two words, तो आपने उनको रट के and then you start giving responses on the basis of that. That is not how it works. Okay, keep it simple, keep it relevant. All right, so fine, vocabulary, but second, grammar. Now that is the most important part. If you do not know your grammar, how will you form a sentence? And as we discussed earlier, right, to perform well, you have to make sentences that make complete sense and help communicate an idea. And what is grammar? Grammar is nothing but set of rules to make a sentence. Now you don't have to worry about learning grammar the way they taught at school. This is the tense, what is, just learn. Okay, just get in there, understand understand the rules and just start using those. Nobody's going to test you on the exam itself as to what does this for part of speech do, or when do you use this tense. None of that. They're not going to ask you those kind of questions, but you need to understand the rules once and then start using those and start practicing those. Right, so that is point 2. But then there is more to it. When you learn a language, okay, when you learn a language, there are total 4 things that you need to do. Okay, point 3 is you need to learn to be coherent and cohesive. All right, इसको मैं सिंपल से बात बोलूं, so you have to make sense. Right? Sense means कि आपने जो बात बोली, पहली बात, अगर मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ, if I'm asking you, hey, what's the weather like? And you start talking about water shortage, that makes no sense. पहली बात तो वो हो गई. खैर चलो उसको छोड़ दो. अगर मैं sense की ही बात कर रहा हूँ, तो जब मैंने बात बोली, right? All the points that I raised, they are somehow one related with each other. Okay. 2, when I use them, they make sense to you as well. Okay. And that they एक उनमें कुछ एक लॉजिक है. सो इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू टू लर्न हाउ टू पुट थिंग्स टुगेदर लॉजिकली एंड इन सॉर्ट ऑफ करेक्ट ऑर्डर. ऑलराइट, प्लस they have to have some relation. All the points when you're talking about one topic, your points that you put forward, hi Pachu, welcome to the class, they have to have some form of relation to them, to each other. Okay, so that is the third thing that you need to learn when you learn a language. And finally, the fourth thing is you have to learn how to be relevant. What do I mean by being relevant? Now this is the biggest problem with most Indian speakers, Indian South Asians. Okay, सारे जितने अपना South Asia के लोग होते हैं, this is the biggest problem with people from South Asia. We are very irrelevant when we speak. Question is, how's the weather? We are talking about car traffic jam. Okay, or if we have asked you what is the weather for 25 minutes, people will keep talking about something else, like they'll keep beating around the bush, and then they will come in one short sentence, they will just give an answer where the person is like, why were you speaking for the past 10 minutes when you could have just said this in 5 words. Okay, so you have to learn to be relevant, answer the question. Okay, and this is another thing that you need to learn when you learn the language. So these are the 4 things that you need to learn when you learn the language. Okay, this is how you need to focus. Stop focusing exclusively on vocabulary. You just need to learn simple vocabulary. You don't need to go crazy all over. Oh, मैं इस तरीके का शब्द सीख लूँ, I learned that kind of a word, I learned that kind of a word. It makes no difference. It makes no difference, not even to the examiner. In fact, I've known a lot of students who think their vocabulary is up to the mark, number le aayenge, they go start speaking in the test, right? End up using some ridiculous vocabulary that is not necessary. Examiners like, what an idiot, okay, have making no sense. Why was this person and band score dropped, okay? Band score dropped. What they'll do is speaking well, speaking at a band 6 level, okay, that's what they can do. And then suddenly they'll use 3 words which are like band 8, band 9. Examiner is like, oh, okay, this guy knows how to speak in English. Let's see what's happening. But then the next moment, because the person is just somehow trying to use those words, the very next second, everything falls apart. Because now how to link everything, they don't know. So examiner is like, oh, this guy is just bluffing, okay. Band score dropped to 5. End of story. Okay, so forget complex vocabulary, forget rich vocabulary, just stick to the point, just answer the question at hand, end of story. Okay, so 4 things when you learn the language: vocabulary, grammar, how to make sense of what you're saying, okay, and how to be relevant. These are the 4 things that you need to learn, and these are the 4 things, these are the exact 4 things that IELTS actually tests you on when they test you on the exam. Right, so that's how that works. Now, how do you go about learning this? So how do you go about learning this? Okay, fine, I've put this out for you, but how do you go about learning this? So, well, like it or hate it, you'll probably need a trainer. Okay, you'll need a trainer. Now, for some people, trainers are websites, okay, or some free material on the internet. Okay, well, if you can find all the free material, well, good for you. If you can somehow make sense of it and use it, excellent for you. 99.99% of the people can't do so. They need a person to teach them. Okay, so what you need is a trainer. You need a person who can teach you English. All right, now not until you know your English, I keep saying this time and again, not until you know your English can you actually do well on the test. So you need a person who can teach you English. That's the person you know. Now, who should you go to? Well, there are thousands of people out there. Okay, there are literally thousands of people out there. But I can only speak about me. I can also teach you English. How? I offer a course on Unacademy Plus. Okay, what is Unacademy Plus? It's an academy, right, where you come and you learn. But the difference is, instead of going to a classroom some 5 kilometers away from home, right, on a 2-wheeler or on a bicycle or in a car going through traffic, you just pull out your phone, download the app, and you start attending the classes. But for Unacademy Plus, like with every other academy, you will have to pay a fees to attend the classes. Okay, makes sense, right? Of course, because you want to study, you'll have to pay a fees. So what happens on Unacademy Plus? How do I teach you? What do I teach you? How do I teach you? Is the same way, right? The way you're attending this class here. The only difference is here it takes longer for my what I say to reach you. On Unacademy Plus, it's faster. It's almost instant. You can hear as I speak almost instantly. On YouTube, it takes a while for what I say to reach you, and then I have to wait for your response. Over there, it's almost instant. Okay. So on Unacademy Plus, this is how we teach. And then what do I teach? So I sort of break down my course into 2 parts. One is the language part. I teach you English. Okay, in one part I teach you English, and then there is the exam preparation. Okay, so I offer a total of 4 courses in a month. A total of 4 courses in a month. So one is the English course. This is a 3 weeks course, which has a total of 15 classes, and each of these classes is 1 hour. Okay, so I have broken it down into 3 weeks for a reason. Week 1 is for beginner rules. You need all the basics, the absolute basics of English language. If you don't know this, you can't learn anything further. So you need to learn your basics first. Okay, week 2 is sort of intermediate. Okay, now that we've known the absolute basics, we then learn to combine the basic rules to make something a little more something where we can communicate more, we can communicate bigger ideas, more developed ideas. Okay, and then week 3 is where we sort of get into the intermediate plus. Okay, intermediate plus. See, we don't really need to learn advanced English for the IELTS test. It is not necessary. I keep saying this time and again. IELTS is not a test for native English speakers or people who have been, like, very well versed in English for the longest time. It is for people who can't speak in English, for whom English is not their first language. Okay, it is for people who've learned English at a later stage of life. So what happens is that when they are going to another country to study or to work or to immigrate, the people want to just know whether you can actually communicate or not. Okay, and for them, it is not important that you should be like an advanced level English speaker. Even a band 9 is not somebody who's like an advanced, like somebody who can do creative writing, somebody who can do technical writing. No, a band 9 is somebody who can put their idea forward in a very clear, in a very well formed manner, while making minimal mistakes. So week 3 sort of focuses on that part. Okay, so that is how the course has been split. Week 1, week 2, week 3. Week 1 is the absolute basics, week 2 is the intermediate, week 3 is the intermediate plus. And guys, until you know your basics, you can't learn your English well. And if you do not know your English properly, you can't do well on your IELTS test, period. Okay, that is how it is. The other part of my test is exam preparation. So as part of the exam preparation, I offer 3 courses, right? One is the listening and the speaking course, right? This is for 5 classes, right? Which is 1 week, 1 hour for each class, right? In that, I will teach you everything that you need to know for the listening test. We'll do a lot of practice, right? We'll do some speaking, right? Because you can't really Pachu, okay, here's how this is. You will join me for the class tomorrow on the app, okay? And that is where I will answer your questions. Now, on the app, they have once again allowed the participants, the students, to drop their comments. So you ask me your questions on the app tomorrow, okay? I will answer all your questions over there. And then from there, once you join the Unacademy Plus course, okay? Because otherwise, you and I will just keep trying to answer 1 or 2 questions here and nothing is going to happen, okay? So you'll be there, right? You'll be there tomorrow at 5:45 on the app for my class. It's a free class. And tell me, what have I been teaching? I've been saying something about grammar and vocabulary for all the classes that you've attended with me on YouTube. What do you think is the right answer? Okay. Anyways, moving on. So listening and speaking. My next course is the reading course. So the reading course is again for 5 classes. Each of these classes is for 1 hour. And great, excellent, Pachu, wonderful. I'll see you at 5:40 tomorrow. So each of these classes is for 1 hour again. And once again, I explain how to answer each of the question types. We also do a lot of practice so that you can understand how to answer those questions. And then finally, there is the writing course. Now this course starts this Monday. This is once again for 5 classes. Each class is for 1 hour, right? And this writing course is common for both academic and general training. There is one class that academic students don't need to attend, and there is one class that general training students don't need to attend. Everything else is common. So irrespective of what type of test you're appearing for, you'll be able to prepare for the test with me over here. Okay. So what is the cost of joining Unacademy Plus? If you're joining for 1 month, it is 2,700 rupees. Okay, but I'll give you a code which is IELTS by Manil, and with that the cost is only 2,430. You have to use this code, okay, while subscribing. If you use it, so you get a 10% discount, right? And then your cost is dropped to 2,430. But anyways, this is something that we can discuss in detail on the app itself when you join me on the app. Why? Because from here talking to you about Unacademy Plus doesn't make a lot of sense. But what I'd really like is if you join me for those classes, I schedule 5 classes each month on the app itself, so that you can understand how does the app work, you can understand what is it that we cover, how do we teach and all of that. And from there, after you've understood, you can then join me to study on Unacademy Plus itself. All right, so let me make it very clear, let me make one thing very, very clear, that if you want to prepare for the test, you'll have to join Unacademy Plus. Okay, there is no like those free classes will not prepare you for the test. All right, so you'll have to join me on Unacademy Plus, which is where I'll teach you. But nonetheless, Unacademy Plus is an excellent platform in the sense that it's like once you pay the fees, you can attend classes with all other IELTS educators as well. So it's a great platform for you to go study and prepare for your test. Now, if you have any questions which are related to IELTS or are related to Unacademy Plus, please let me know, and I'll be very happy to answer those. In the meantime, I just want to give you one very quick overview of the test itself. So we've understood what is it that you need to do to prepare for the test, and we've also understood what do they mean by those band scores, right? So now that we know both these things, we can actually focus in the right direction on the right points and the areas, rather than just memorizing random vocabulary, which trust me, will not help you score anything. Okay, so your test itself is split into two parts. Okay, it is conducted over 2 different days, right? So one day is when they take your speaking test, and then there's the other day where in one go, as they take the listening, reading, and the writing tests. So on the day of the speaking test, the test lasts hardly for 11 to 14 minutes. All right, you'll reach the so about in an hour's time so once you reach the exam center, say about half an hour before your test, and then you get in there, you give your test, and then you're out. So in about 45 minutes, you're done and you're on your way back home. Okay, so that is the speaking test. Then the listening, reading, writing test lasts for 3 hours. Okay, of this, for the listening test, they give you 40 minutes, 30 plus 10 minutes, right? That is if you're appearing for the paper-based test. So you can appear for both computer and the paper test. The fees is the same for both the tests. Computer test is not available everywhere. Paper-based test is available at all centers, right? So you need to check if there's a computer delivered test center near your home or in a city or in a nearby city. If yes, go appear there. Or if you can afford to travel to a distant city and appear for the test, you can go there as well. This is for people who are mostly, not used to writing anymore. They're more used to typing, working class people. So who have lost complete touch with writing. In fact, they don't even they can't even think very clearly now that when they need to write. Okay, so they find it more comfortable to read off a screen or to type on a screen. So for them, paper-based test is of course, anybody can appear for either of the two tests, right? But paper-based test is what most people prefer. So that's that. Acha. Another, then there is the reading section. So reading section is for 1 hour, right? And then there is the writing section, which is again for 1 hour. And then there is 20 minutes of time where changeovers happen. They give you new questions, and but all of these things are taught. How to find keywords in reading is something which is taught as part of the Unacademy Plus course. So if you want to learn that, please join me on the Unacademy Plus course. I'll be very happy to teach you over there. Okay, so that is what. So this is how the test is broken down. So that's more or less about it. Another thing, so there are two agencies that help you appear for the test. One is British Council, other is IDP. You can choose to appear at any test center. The test is identical. The way your answers are checked is identical, right? It doesn't matter whether you are appearing for the test in a village or in a small town or in a large city, or whether you're appearing at British Council or IDP. Your result will be exactly the same. It will reflect in your results will reflect exactly how you perform. Okay, so don't worry. Pachu, your questions, let me be very honest with you, your questions are completely off the mark. None of these things make any difference, okay, to your score, right? I don't know how to answer that question, right? See, if you really want to perform well on the test, I'm honestly telling you, join me on Unacademy Plus, right? So anyways, if there are any other questions about Unacademy, if you have any questions about Unacademy Plus, feel free to ask me. Otherwise, I'll bring this class to an end now, right? All right, great. So there are no further questions. Great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this class to an end now. Thank you so much for joining in. It was great teaching all of you who joined earlier, those of you who are still there, those of you who will be watching this as a published video, right? I really hope you'll join me on the app itself. Come attend some of my sample class, special classes, which are free classes, and then finally decide to join me on Unacademy Plus. All right, guys, be serious about your IELTS test, right? If you really want to perform well on the test, set yourself a goal, start preparing for it. That this is the date when I want to appear for the test. Start preparing for it and then go appear for the test on that day. All right, thanks for joining in. Have a lovely evening. See you tomorrow on the app itself. You take care. Goodbye.